What's good, people? It's about that time to randomly relate reverse rants, no hate. Take a listen.
Chris, congratulations on the win against Rayo. Man, what did it just feel like getting back in the ring, kind of, getting punches thrown at you, throwing them at people?
It felt good, and then to come back on the big stage like this, it even felt even better. I mean, I was a little rusty, but shit, we got the job done. That's all that matters. All wins ain't gonna be pretty, like I said.
It was a competitive fight. You heard the crowd reaction. You heard what Jim Gray said. That he thought it was a terrible decision. Just your thoughts on all that?
Yeah, I don't care what Jim Gray and them said. Like I said, it's like we all got opinions. It's like assholes. I don't care.
A rematch, obviously, a lot of people were talking. No?
I just said no rematch. If he would have took his loss like a man, I'd have gave him a rematch. You know me, I'm a dog. I came over 13-month layoff to fight him. I didn't have to fight him. I could have fought a bum. I choose to fight him. I could have fought a bum and got the same paycheck. But like I said, I'm in this sport to create a legacy. And that was a part of my legacy. I would have gave him another one, but he was a sore loser and he ain't getting nothing.
What happened so talk to me about that exchange. What was he saying to you? What were you saying?
I don't know what he was saying. I know he was just crying. And I said, save the crying for your mama. Stop crying. But
it
you lost.
It seemed like you went up to him at first kind of, hey, congratulations.
I said, you see when I take my loss, how I took it, right? I took that shit on the chin. But he started doing all that talking. That's why I had to tell him, you lost. I don't care. There you see.
Congratulations. Now, what's the after party looking like? I
don't party. I'm going to sleep.
Congratulations. Thank you.
All right. So Chris Colbert says he's not giving Rayo a rematch. Now at the post conference, he said that if Rayo wants to come down to his weight, because he's going back down to 130, he said if he wants to come down 130, 126, whatever division he's going to go in, he said that if Rayo comes down, they can get it on again. But he's saying he's not going to give him a rematch. You heard him, because he was whining and crying. Well, let me just flat out say he lost the fight. And not just my opinion, but to most people, he lost this fight. Now, Chris Colbert is not the first fighter to clearly lose a fight and then, say that they thought they won. Now, Rayo had times where he wasn't that active, and he had times where, he was throwing and missing. Chris started getting the jab working. You never know how judges are scoring fights. Me, clearly, I thought Rayo won. I don't think it was that close that you had to even really, no. I thought that Chris lost the fight. Now, as far as the sore loser part, you can't blame Chris for what the judges, decided, who they decided to go with. You can't blame him for that. Now, as far as him rubbing it in because Rayo is, trying to be disrespectful to him, or, I really beat your ass, or whatever he was saying to him, just say, what do you think he's going to do? Stand up there, I know they robbed you, and I'm sorry, it's not his fault. But clearly he got beat. And the reality is this. That's a part two of what taints boxing, is these terrible decisions that these judges make, man. I mean, clearly to me, like I said, I don't see how you could even say this fight was that close. He dropped Chris. He hurt him several times throughout the fight. And yeah, Chris fought back. He tried, he did. He gave what he had. The judges saw it as enough. And that, do you know how long that we've been having these type of conversations on or off camera about, the way they judge these fights? So, I mean, yeah, there was definitely a robbery. But for Chris, on his record, it says he won. And what he does from here, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, if Chris is to really become a big name, the reality is, if he's going to do it at 126, who's really there? If he's going to do it at 130, well, we know who he have to try to get through to get anything done there. Okay, and do you really see Chris Colbert beating Shakur Stevenson? You know, it's legacy, and I just don't think that fight's going to go nowhere near the way he wanted to go. The thing with Chris is this: if you believe in yourself, it's like any fighter, fine, and you can't be in there without being confident. Chris isn't quite there yet, though, in terms of pound for pound with skill. Okay, so for him to have that much trouble with Rayo, you imagine what happens with him fighting Shakur Stevenson. You know, I mean, to be honest with you, if he's going to go back to 126, fight Gary Russell. Gary Russell and him had words, you know, right? This would be a redemption fight for Gary Russell, and you know, even though he got the win, you know, for me to redeem yourself, you have to come back and do it against the guy that beat you. But at least it'll be okay. Damn, he beat Gary Russell, because Gary Russell is a respected fighter. But Gary Russell is known to run his mouth a bit too much and say a bunch of crazy stuff. Same way. Let me say though, for Chris Colbert, if he comes to 130, you know, and say, or he starts to make any noise after Shakur goes to 135, because that's really the move that everybody is expecting Shakur to make. If he's at 130 without Shakur Stevenson, without any real, like, really solid names, you know, it's not really going to do too much for him. Now, I'm not saying he should stay at 135, and he's saying, you know, like, I'm not naturally a 135 pounder. And so, obviously, Rayo did enough to wake him up to say, let me take my ass back down to, you know, I don't belong here. And pretty much, for him to say, no, I'm not giving him a rematch because he was whining and crying, he's not the first fighter to say that either. I mean, let's be real. And we heard Teofimo Lopez say, why should I give, you know, a Lomachenko rematch when he didn't even want to give me a rematch? He's the reason why we had no rematch clause. He didn't want a rematch on clause, you know? And so, yeah, it was his fault. So why should I fight him again? You know, and Lomachenko fans were saying, oh, he's ducking, he's scared. Well, things that he said later on that contradicted that, yeah, that showed that, yeah, he had no intentions on fighting him again. But at the same time, you know, we can dig up a whole lot of situations where fighters said things based on something that was said to them or done towards them. You know, and that's why even like in the video I just made, where I said, you know, if you look, you see David Benavidez is changing his tune with Canelo. Well, I feel like he doesn't want to say anything to jeopardize the fight, because he knows Canelo doesn't care what people think. If he doesn't want to fight you, he's just not going to fight you. You know, and that was him basically saying he doesn't think Canelo's ducking him. He thinks Canelo has a lot of options, you see. And pretty much he went from saying he doesn't want to fight me. His father said the same thing. And I agree wholeheartedly. You talking all this, I don't want to fight another Mexican. Like, stop it, bro. You fought Mexicans before. Stop it. Stop it. Help your countrymen make millions of dollars. Fight them. You know, since you so, you know, proud to your flag, and okay, so fight Benavidez. I'm pretty sure the Mexican fans want to see it. And see, me personally, I don't care. I don't want to break it down to section off to the Mexican. No, it's boxing. I believe in equal opportunity ass whoopings. I don't care where you come from. You can come from the same street. Don't matter. You in my way, I'm getting rid of you. Simple. What happened to this mentality? They got Fury over here talking about how he won't fight Parker. They're like brothers and all this bullshit. All of a sudden, now, you know, pick and choose. Well, bottom line on that is Chris Colbert got beat. Like, he got beat. And I watched that fight, and I'm like, I'm pulling for Chris. Like, come on, Chris, move your head, dude. You know, fire your shot, move, get in, get out, man. Go to the body, like, you know, I'm in my head, like, just, you know, watching. And you know, I don't think Chris did nearly enough to win. But either way, and he don't have to care about what the judges think or what Jim Gray, anybody. None of that matters. In terms of how he's going to see it or how a fighter feels about their performance. But The outcome of the fight is what it is. And these judges, they're not helping the sport. And I'm saying it clearly. Rayo won that fight. Before I close this video, I just want to say something because, somebody was talking trash in the comment section on a different channel. Uh, it might have been Fight Hub or one of those channels. I'm not sure. Seconds Out, one of those channels. And, I was reading some comments and I was conversing with some people on there. And someone actually made the comment and said that if Usyk really wanted undisputed, he would have fought Fury. And it's like, wait a minute. For all of what Usyk put up with, you have the nerve to say if he really wants undisputed, he pulled out, and then Fury talking about the lawyers have the paperwork, they have all the paperwork, all this. I'm like, you believe this nonsense? They ain't show you nothing, right? Okay. Then he had the nerve to say Fury's a good guy, and he came from nothing to something, all this nonsense, and Now, my thing about that is this. I don't care what you think about a person personally. I don't get caught up in all of that. I like him, I don't like him. No, I don't like when people, are a bunch of liars and carry on a certain way. And they just become annoying. One thing I thought about, if you look at all the nonsense that Usyk has put up with Fury, and the shorts that he had to take throughout his career. A lot of fighters, Jerron Boots, and there's all these other guys who's trying to get their shot, and people are trying to avoid them because it's high risk and low reward. But at the end of the day, it's like this. If you want to sit here and talk about someone being a good person, I don't know Usyk personally. I don't know him to be a trash talker, like a person that's like hateful towards people. And I do know I feel like he was trying to play games with Anthony Joshua in a way of just the stone cold look and all, just doing little things to just try to psych Anthony Joshua out, because everybody knows that Anthony Joshua mentally, that's his weakness, So that type of thing. But I mean, like, I've never heard Usyk come out his face and just say a bunch of like rotten things about people. Well, since you guys want to praise your Gypsy King so much, let's think about this. He's supposed to be a big advocate of mental health issue. He supports people going through that, and even like he said, even words can hurt, right? You calling him a ugly little man, a foreigner, he can barely speak English, nobody knows him, nobody can understand what he's just constantly saying. That's not some racist shit. Why you keep calling, the fact that you just keep calling him a foreigner, it's like you act like the only place that fight can take place is in the UK. You understand? Well, at the end of the day, Fury may find himself in a situation where he needs someone to help resurrect his career. You never know what can happen in that ring. It doesn't last forever. Right now, look at Anthony Joshua. He was the cash cow. And from what I'm understanding, they're struggling to sell tickets for the fight with him and Franklin back in the UK. So what does that tell you? It doesn't last forever, man. It does not last forever. And how you really can just look at certain things too. Look at guys like him and Canelo. How they could do a simple interview some years ago, and that interview would be up in the 300,000-400,000 view mark. Now you look within like a 3-4 month period. Now 3-4 months go by, their videos are having like 30,000 views, 20-something thousand views. That's a big drop off. So the same lack of interest that they show to watch the videos, the same lack of interest they have in their fights. And we know that the numbers that Canelo did with, this last couple of fights, they weren't all that good. They were a big drop from what they were. So it's what I'm saying. Time goes on. You're no longer the cash cow. You're no longer that guy. Look, Triple G was walking around here with three freaking belts. Right? Still, is anybody really talking about Triple G right now? No. And this is the thing. Canelo's about to fight this guy Ryder. Is anybody talking about this fight? No. So, you think you're going to be on top forever, and then you're not. Okay? And this guy is trying to stand in the way of a guy who wants undisputed. and all he's doing is throwing out insults. You little ugly little man, you bug-eyed, nasty teeth, and just saying a bunch of stuff where you the one came back talking about mental health issues and how words can hurt and be damaging and actions as well and all that, but just such a positive influence in one way, but you negative as fuck the other way, right? Looks like it's all a facade to me. It's not about mental health issues with everybody. It's just you, or maybe a select few people. That's probably not boxers. People that you're selective with who you want to say that shit type of shit to. So you might be positive to certain people, but for a grown ass man to resort to calling somebody ugly, well, if Usyk is ugly, right? And I'm just saying, then who's handsome? You're a man. You shouldn't even be fucking worrying about what somebody look like. You know what I mean? Just because you're hated like a fucking bullet doesn't mean, all right? That doesn't mean that every time somebody gets upset with you, they need to, oh, he's ugly and fat and hairy and he this and no. You have a big pointed bullet shiny head, so I'm just saying. You're sloppy, got flab all on your waist and everything. And that's why I feel like he's always calling Anthony Joshua a model, because he's probably freaking jealous that he can't get ripped up. Who knows? Don't know, and I don't care. But it's just, he's always 1 minute, he's saying one thing and he does something else, but his minions always try to take his side and make it like he's right, he can do no wrong. You calling that man all these damn names and just saying things, you saying everything except for let's fight. And you knew what you were going to do. We all called it. And right now, this is another thing where you see, like I say, boxing take 1 step forward and then take 5 steps backwards. Because it's hard to just get consistency with the best fighting the best. Let me say, what the judges did at the Chris Colbert Rayo fight, I don't know what fight they were watching. But we know that this has been going on for far too long. And I believe that the powers that be feel like, what are you going to do? It's all the controversy, all of it's all a part of boxing. Let's leave it alone. It is what it is. Hell, maybe they'll have a rematch. They don't care. It's not their records. All they care about is money. And for you to complain, but continue to watch and support, well, that's all they go by. They don't really care. It gets to the point where all the top dogs are not able to sell. Nobody cares. The networks don't want these fights. Boxing won't just be going from HBO. You'll see something, a completely different change. I'm telling you right now, I've been saying this for the longest. People think it's going to lose money if this happens. Well, whatever. Boxing needs to be the way the UFC is. That's what they need. And let me tell you something. Even if they wanted to say, okay, we're going to keep it amongst the 4 belts now, right? But it should be a system that you have to follow, that you have to fight and earn your spots. Not this popular demand bullshit and you leapfrogging over people to get shots and all. There's things that can be done. But I'm telling you, the interest is not there because they feel like, hey, man, look, we're rich as hell. We're making all this big money. These guys don't know what they're talking about. They're on the outside looking in. Like for the idiots that want to see the Anthony Joshua, Jermaine Franklin fight fail because they're Fury fans or Wilder fans or whoever, it's weird that you can fight that about AJ when AJ's been doing nothing but trying to fight the top guys out there. And this guy Franklin just fought Dillian White, and people made excuses for White. Why? Oh, because he's coming off of a loss. Well, so is AJ. And I do believe that if after this fight, if AJ wins, that he'll be fighting Dillian White. Hopefully that's the way it goes for them, for boxing. Because I'm seeing some bull crap now about Jarrell Miller opening his mouth and he's talking about AJ has no choice but to fight me, you coward, you're scared, blah, blah, blah. So Big Pharmacy Miller's trying to get himself back in the mix. Then I see something where he's talking trash to Dillian White and Dillian's telling him, sign the contract, big man, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, guys, here we go with this WWE stuff again, man. Big Pharmacy Miller doesn't have a leg to stand on. He's trying to get recognition, trying to get somebody, oh, remember me? Yeah, Big Pharmacy Miller. I'm the guy that was all pilled up. Yeah, that's why I lost my shot with AJ. And he's telling him there's nowhere else to go. Really? For who? You? See, there's options out there for Anthony Joshua. Jermaine Franklin's not a draw. And regardless to the fact that he put up a good fight against, Dillian White, if this fight, if it's true that they're struggling to sell tickets, I did see something posted where it's saying like win tickets to the AJ Franklin fight, and it does kind of look like wow, like okay, but it is what it is. It's one fight, one night. What the undercard is looking like, if they're gonna pick up sale, I don't know. But I feel like guys like Fury, I could understand people not buying their pay-per-views and tickets to go out and see why. Because despite the fact that he's winning, look at what he's doing. And look at how he's winning. Let's look at the games he's playing. And for people, he's brilliant. He's a great business. No. See, it's great in terms of what he's doing to promote himself and to take the lion's share of the money and all that stuff for himself. But for the sport of boxing, no, it's not great. It's really not at all. And all of this stuff that you look at, people overpricing themselves so a fight won't happen just to point the finger to make it look like it's the other guy. These judges not being able to make the right decisions in the fight. Referees allowing guys to do excessive holding. All kinds of nonsense. Just it's a lot of things that when you watch boxing, it's like, okay, you it's not about you expecting everything to be perfect, even though there's a lot of people who do. But it is about being able to watch an event and feel like you have your money's worth. And when you have like all of these negative elements that just keep popping up in boxing, man, it's like at some point you're just like, you know what, man, and you find people not watching it. And I mean, hey. Anyway, again, Rayo won that fight in my book. But you can't get mad at Chris because of what the judges said. Shouldn't get mad anyways. And that didn't happen to you. It didn't happen to me. What we get mad for? But just in terms of the sport itself, and then, that was a really whack decision. Might have been the worst decision of the whole damn night. Anyway, talk to me in the comments section. Never fall in love with lies. Remember, the truth brings hate out of people. And I will catch y'all on the next video.